Good morning. This is Val from Mainway Solutions. Today we're going to be talking about rocker arms for all skidoos. This is a rocker arm that I make. It's the MSK03. Basically, it fits any arm motion up to current models. I make these from scratch. They got full greasable bushings, new stainless axles. Really nice piece. But we're going to be talking about servicing your old rocker arms. So this is a 531. This is basically from 2012 to 2021. They're using this in the current model, and they use this axle with they use this rocker arm with this plastic bushing and a steel axle, and they use this in this pivot point right here, and as you can see, it just basically falls out. Pretty expensive bushing here from Skidoo if you check it out online, and their axle is relatively cheap, but I think it's just a cheap design to start with. And then they've got these 555 bushing inserts that are 3/8 of an inch long. I'm going to show you how to take these out and replace them, and I'm going to show you how to rebush this with the kit that I've developed for these rocker arms. So we'll be doing that one. And this is a rocker arm for summit, backcountry, free rides, and they basically use that same plastic bushing and stainless axle, and the bushings just fall out. This is a new rocker arm here. But anyways, we're going to do the same to that. We're going to install a new bushing, new bronze bushing in here, and we're going to install longer inserts. So basically this has the full length inserts in it now. I'm going to pull this out with a new tool I developed this year, and we're going to put it back in with the same tool. Anyways, let's get started. We'll work on this one here first. Let's pull these bushings out with this new tool I made, and see how that works. So basically it's a threaded rod assembly. And a driver. So we'll put this through like this, put the insert in there, and we'll put the nut on. I haven't lubed these up, but they should be lubricated before we use them. They'll last a lot longer. Nope, can't do that. We've got to put a tube in here. That's not going very well. Here we go. So we'll put that insert in, make sure that we have it the correct way. There we go. A little slippery this morning, that's all. There. So this is what we should have. We can't, these are pretty flimsy, this pivot point right here. because it's only on this 80 thou piece of metal, and basically there's no backing on it. So if you went to hit this with a hammer or anything like that, you're definitely going to bend it. I've got this nut here is Loctited on, so what we do is hold this actually, and we turn this nut and it'll draw that bushing out. So we'll hold the bolt, that nut there, and we're going to turn this one. I'm just going to lock that up a bit more. Okay. And we're just going to turn that. Actually, it's holding pretty good, so I won't have to hold that rod. I can just pull it out like so. So these are the actual, these bushings are actually the long ones that I pulled out. Sorry, that I installed. So I pulled them out without any damage to the arm, and you know, I haven't bent anything or anything like that, hit it with a hammer. So this is the bushing. And it's still in good shape. So if I haven't damaged the bushing, obviously I haven't damaged the bracket. So we're gonna put this back in, but hang on one second. Just want to show you the length of these. So this is the bushing that we took out of here, that I put in originally, but this is the OEM length, and you can see the length of the bushing and the amount of support. So obviously this is going to wear out well before this is ever going to wear out. And remember, there's one on each side, right? So this is more than two of the OEM ones. So let's go ahead and we'll install this bushing. I always try to line up those pivots there. We can use this, or we can use the threaded rod from our other install tool for the front arm. It's a great tool to have around. So we're just going to use the rod with the flat washers. Alright, let's hopefully I don't drop the nut again. There we go. Always a good idea to get a full nut on the threaded rod. Line her up, wiggle it, and again we'll just turn this nut and drive her in. Now it's actually, the whole rod is turning. We don't want that. Could hold that side, but we really don't want the rod turning inside the bushing. And we're just going to bottom that out. That's it. Pull this apart. These are the OEM steel axles. They're pretty hard. They just give them a clean up and put them back in. And there you have it. So now you have a full length bushing on each side. I always try to do that when I put my kits together, is give the best bang for your money. So we're going to do this bushing here. I use an arbor press here, of course. Puts it in nice and straight. Never ever have a problem. Not all of you are going to have an arbor press, so I'm going to show you how to do this with just doing it in the jaws of a vise. You can also do this with a threaded rod. Actually, I'll do both. We're going to do this one with the vise, and I'll do the other rocker arm. We're going to do that with the threaded rod. So what are we going to do here? My trusty plate. Okay. So we're going to use that plate. I'm going to grab my bushing. So here's the bushing with stainless steel axle, and like I say, this is going to be greased through the bolt. Another thing, either bevel these, or this side here seems to be have a small bevel in it, so if you're going to install this, this is the side that you're going to install it from. So I use a plate and put the rocker arm against it. These jaws are, you know, a little bit rough, and I don't want to be damaging the face of the bronze bushing. So this is the way that I would do it. Hold it as steady as you can. She's lined up pretty good. Just wiggle it, and once it starts to go in, it's going to go in just fine. What we should have done, mine's been in and out a few times, so I'm not too concerned, but on your end, grab a piece of not the sandpaper, but Scotch-Brite, or if it's clean, just leave it, just wipe it, just a touch of grease, wipe some grease in it, and draw it in the same way as I'm doing here. And you just, till it bottoms out. You don't have to go pressing it any further. Bottoms out, you're done. So now we have the new bushing installed. And I'm going to put stainless axle on it. And it fits very good. So what I'm going to show you here is the difference between the pivot points here. So I'm just gonna, there we go, we're just gonna lock it in there. It still moves, and you can see it doesn't rock at all. Like it's a pretty good fit. So this is with the new bronze bushing. I should have done that earlier to show you, but I'll do it on this one here. But this one's a little bit wore excessively. But so this is the type of play that we're dealing with. That new rocker arm would have been a little bit better, but this one's worse. But we're going to fix that. So now we have a reconditioned rocker arm that you guys can do yourself. Nice clean pivot point, longer bushing. This is a better connection. And then up at the top end, you're going to have a greasable suspension on this pivot point with this bolt. So this is for you summit guys, backcountry guys, free ride. Great kit. Anyways, let's do this 531, and we're going to basically do the same thing. All right. So I've already installed a large, or the longer bushing on this side. So what we're going to do is just knock that bushing out, the small short one. One thing I was gonna say, okay, let's knock this out and I'm gonna show you something. Okay, so we're gonna knock that bushing out. So, very easy to come out. They're only in there like 1/4 inch, so these are the bushings. This is what we're gonna put back in it. So you can see the actual length of them is more than doubled. We're going to use, so the last one we used the threaded rod to draw it in. This one here we're going to actually use the vise. Like I said, I use an arbor press on these. But very easy to do these with. Just make sure you get it started so it's nice and straight. So we could have used the MST01 tool, which is 5/8, which is a little bit larger, with the washers to draw this in. We could have used the MST02 tool as well. That would work. But for a size bushing that long, it's quite easy to just do it in a vise. Just till you bottom it out. Give it a little wipe. Find the old trusty axle. The same axle as the free rides and the summits. And there you go. Longer support each side. It's going to last a lot longer than those stupid little 1/4 inch bushings on each side. So we're going to do the pivot point. As you can see, this one's a little bit in rougher shape. Just got high miles on this rocker. So here's a bronze bushing. So the last one we pulled in with, yeah, I think we did it in the vise, didn't we? Yes. So we're going to do this one with our puller. I'm just going to put that in there lightly. And I'm going to use the larger bushing, or larger tool. There we go. So same thing when you're doing this, we're going to draw it in through that that groove side. It's got a small bevel on it, which is going to help us. And a couple of 3/4 inch wrenches. And they go in much easier with a bigger tool, obviously. Again, wipe a little bit of grease in there prior to putting the bushings in. Like I say, I've had these in and out a few times. They're well lubed. There we go. Just pull the bottom out. You don't have to reef on the 2 wrenches. Pull the nuts off. lots of little parts. And stainless axle, grease groove, grease hole. When you put these, when you're putting these bushings in, no matter, like when you're doing your assemblies, always wipe some grease on these and roll the bushings in, roll the axles into the bushings. Roll them in there like that, and then you got a nice clean pivot point. When you get these rocker arms, if you order one of these rocker arms, these MSK03 rocker arms, you'll see that there's already grease on these, because, you know, when I'm assembling them, that's what I'll do, right? So we're just going to check this pivot point here for you. Alright, a little bit of clearance. They're not as tight as my, they're tight, like they're very acceptable, but they're not as tight as these. These I fit here, so after I put the bushings in, I actually ream these holes for these stainless axles, so I do them in-house on the vise. These ones here, I have to give you a little bit more clearance, otherwise if they hang up and get burr on them, you're going to be calling me and saying, hey Val, these things don't fit. So a little bit more clearance, but still a pretty, like a great improvement. So we've covered the 3 rocker arms. That about concludes the rocker arm installation, like bushing installation. So if you have any questions regarding this, please send me an email. If you got any comments, you know, maybe you've got a better way to assemble these, or maybe you've missed something that I didn't go through. But either way, let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and we can discuss it a little bit further. Thanks for watching.